Hello, and you're watching the History Fella channel. In this video, we're looking at the Battle of Hanover Courthouse. The Battle of Hanover Courthouse, also known as the Battle of Slash Church, took place on May the 27th, 1862, in Hanover County, Virginia, as part of the Peninsula Campaign of the American Civil War. On May the 27th, elements of Brigadier General John Porter's 5th Corps extended north to protect the right flank of Major General George B. McClellan's Union of the Potomac. Porter's objective was to deal with the Confederate force near Hanover Courthouse, which threatened the avenue of approach for Union reinforcements that were marching south from Fredericksburg. The smaller Confederate force, under Colonel Lawrence O'Brien Branch, was defeated at Peake's Crossing after a disorganized fight. However, the Union victory was moot, since the Union reinforcements were recalled to Fredericksburg upon word of Major General Nathaniel P. Banks's rout in the Shenandoah Valley at the First Battle of Winchester. Confederate General Joseph E. Johnston withdrew his 60,000-man army from the Virginia Peninsula as McClellan's army pursued him and approached the Confederate capital of Richmond. Johnston's defensive line began at the James River at Drury's Bluff, site of the recent Confederate naval victory, and extended counterclockwise so that his center and left were behind the Chickahominy River, a natural barrier in the spring when it turned the broad plains to the east of Richmond into swamps. Johnston's men burned most of the bridges over the Chickahominy and settled into strong defensive positions north and east of the city. For two reasons, McClellan positioned his 105,000-man army to focus on the northeast sector. Firstly, the Pamunkey River, which ran roughly parallel to the Chickahominy, offered a line of communication that could enable McClellan to get around Johnston's left flank. Secondly, McClellan anticipated the arrival of the First Corps under Major General Irwin McDowell was scheduled to march south to Fredericksburg to reinforce his army, and thus he needed to protect their avenue of approach. The Army of the Potomac pushed slowly up the Pamunkey and established supply bases at Eltham's Landing, Cumberland Landing, and White House Landing. White House, the plantation of W.H.F. Rooney Lee, son of General Robert E. Lee, became McClellan's base of operations. Using the Richmond and York River Railroad, McClellan could bring his heavy siege artillery to the outskirts of Richmond. He moved slowly and deliberately, reacting to faulty intelligence that made him believe that the Confederates outnumbered him significantly. By the end of May, the army had built bridges across the Chickahominy and was facing Richmond, straddling the river, with 1/3 of the army south of the river and 2/3 north. While skirmishing occurred all along the line between the armies, McClellan heard a rumor from a Virginia civilian that a Confederate force of 17,000 was moving to Hanover Courthouse, north of Mechanicsville. If this was true, it would threaten the army's right flank and complicate the arrival of McDowell's reinforcements. A Union cavalry reconnaissance adjusted the estimate of the enemy's strength to about 6,000, but it was still cause for concern. McClellan ordered his close friend, Major General John Porter, commander of the newly formed 5th Corps, to deal with this threat. Porter departed on his mission at 4 a.m. on May the 27th, with his 1st Division under Brigadier General George W. Morrell. The 3rd Brigade of Brigadier General George Sykes, 2nd Division under Colonel Gouverneur K. Warren, and a composite brigade of cavalry and artillery led by Brigadier General William H. Emory, altogether about 12,000 men. The Confederate force, which numbered about 4,000 men, was led by Colonel Lawrence O'Brien Branch and included the 7th, 18th, 28th and 37th North Carolina Infantry and the 45th Georgia Infantry. They had departed from Gordonsville to guard the Virginia Central Railroad, taking up a position at Peaks Crossing, 4 miles southwest of the courthouse, near Slash Church. Another Confederate brigade was stationed 10 miles north at Hanover Junction. Porter's men approached Peaks Crossing in the driving rain. At about noon on May the 27th, his lead element, the 25th New York Infantry, encountered Colonel James H. Lane's 28th North Carolina on a reconnaissance patrol at the farm owned by Thomas H. Kenny. The New Yorkers, along with the 1st U.S. sharpshooters, skirmished briskly with the Confederates until Porter's main body arrived. This drove the outnumbered rebels up the hill in the direction of the courthouse. Porter set out in pursuit with most of his force, leaving 3 regiments, the 2nd Maine, the 44th New York, and the damaged 25th New York, under the command of Brigadier General John H. Martindale, to guard the New Bridge and Hanover Courthouse Roads intersection, a mild test of Kinney's farm. This movement exposed the rear of Porter's command to attack by the bulk of Branch's force, which Porter had mistakenly assumed was at Hanover Courthouse. Branch also made the poor assumption that Porter's force was significantly smaller than it was, so he attacked. Colonel Charles C. Lee had his regiment, the 37th North Carolina, along with the 18th North Carolina and 2 cannons from Latham's battery. An initial assault by the 18th was repulsed, but the heavy fire almost destroyed Martindale's force when the 37th joined in. The 44th New York suffered 25% casualties, and its battle flag received 44 bullet holes. When messengers reached Porter with news of the engagement, he quickly dispatched the 9th Massachusetts and the 62nd Pennsylvania regiments back to Kinney Farm. The Confederate line broke under the weight of thousands of new troops, and they retreated through Peaks Crossing to Ashland. General McClellan claimed that Hanover Courthouse was yet another glorious victory over superior numbers, and judged it one of the handsomest things of the war. However, the reality was that the superior Union numbers won the day in a disorganized fight characterized by misjudgments on both sides. The right flank on the Union Army remained secure, although technically the Confederates at Peaks Crossing had not intended to threaten it. Also, McDowell's corps did not need its roads kept clear because it never arrived. The defeat of Union forces at the First Battle of Winchester by Stonewall Jackson in the Shenandoah Valley caused the Lincoln administration to recall McDowell to Fredericksburg. The estimates of Union casualties vary from 355 to 397. The Confederates left 200 dead and wounded on the field, and Porter's cavalry captured 730. A more significant impact than the actual casualties, though, according to historian Stephen W. Sears, was the effect on McClellan's preparedness for the next major battle at Seven Pines and Fair Oaks 4 days later. During the absence of Porter, McClellan was reluctant to move more of his troops south of the Chickahominy, with most of his left flank a more attractive target for Johnston. If you found the information in this video informative or helpful, please feel free to give the video a thumbs up. And I'd like to thank everyone for watching and listening to this video, and I shall see you next time. Thank you very much.